So how are you? How is everyone doing? Welcome to this live today. So we are going to make a short dress today. Yeah. So we are going to do our pattern drafting for the front and for the back. And then we shall see what to do. So I'm going to start with the back part. Give me a minute. I'm checking my network, then we shall start. All right, so let's begin. We are going to begin with the back pattern. So I'm going to begin with the back pattern. Let's start. Okay. So this is my shoulder line, as always. So I'm going to measure from my shoulder to my bust, shoulder to waist, shoulder to hip, shoulder to bust, shoulder to waist, shoulder to hip. Okay, so this is our shoulder line. This is our bust line, waist line, hip line. Okay, so we are going to put in our measurements. The neckline, I'm going to use a neckline of 3 inches by by 1 inch. This is the back. Okay, so I'm going to divide my shoulder, divide by 2, which is 7.5. I'll mark that 7.5 here as well. I'll go up by 1 inch. Since I'm going to put sleeves, I'll go up by 1 inch. And this is now our chest line. Okay, so I'll come down here by 1 inch and make a shoulder slope. And then connect here like this. So I'm going to divide this by 2. Then I'll measure my bust divide by 4. Bust divide by 4 is 9.5. So I'll join this here. Okay, now I'm going to make this shirt dartless. It will not have a dart, so it will be dartless. Give me a minute. Whoosh. Sorry about that. So on this line, I'm going to take the same measurement for the bust divide by 4. Bust divide by 4, mine is 9.5. I'm going to come on my waist and measure waist divide by 4, which is 8.5. And on my hip line, measure hip divide by 4, which is 11.25. So I'm going to connect these points. So going down, I'll just take everything straight to the length I want. Okay, it's going to be longer than this, so I'll put in my neckline. All right, so I'm going to add a sewing allowance of 1 inch. So I'll do the sewing allowance. I'll cut it while cutting here. So whatever I'm adding here is the sewing allowance. Okay, okay, so this is our back pattern. This is our back pattern. I've not finished it. I'll come back to it. Back. So we are going to draft our front. So for the front pattern, I'm going to take away 3 inches from the front. I'm going to measure 3 inches, then start measuring again. 3 inches. This is where our buttons are going to be. Okay. So we are going to rule out the starting point. Okay. So this is now our shoulder line. Now I'm going to take my measurements, bust measurement, waist measurement, hip measurement, bust, waist, hip. So for the front neckline, we are going to take a neckline of 3 inches by 3 inches, okay? So I'll take 3 by 3. Then I'll come here and measure my shoulder line, divide by 2. And I'll come here as well and measure shoulder line, divide by 2. Come up by 1 inch here and make a line. Come down by 1 inch here and make a line as well. So connect this line to here, get the center, come in by 0.5, get my bust, divide by 4, connect this point to this point to this point. Come get my waistline, divide by 4, and come as well and get my hip line, divide by 4. So after I will connect, then take the wrist in a straight line to down. So after this, I'll connect this here. So I'm going to cut off 1 inch from the front and take it to the back. So I'm going to measure 1 inch on the front, 1 inch. So let's first cut this. This, whatever I'm adding here, is the sewing allowance. You add the sewing allowance of 1 inch. Me, I've added this, but you add the sewing allowance of 1 inch. I sometimes see the sewing allowance using my eyes. So this is the part that overlaps in the other. So now what you are going to do is we are going to come here and join this part. Okay, so now this is the back. When you bring it here on the front, this is how it will be. Okay, so this is how it will appear on the front. So remember, since I did not make everything equal down, but it has to be equal, and after folding in this like this, it will still be equal, okay? Because this we just added it on. So you have to make the front and the back parts equal. So I'm going to cut out my pattern. The front and the back. If you want to put that, you can put them as you plan to cut. Hello Queen, how are you? Sorry, I did not check early. Bibida, how are you doing? How is life? I've not been doing lives lately, but I'm back. So we are going to cut. We are going to cut the front and the back. Okay, so let's see. So I think this will be short. I'm going to make it longer. This is 35. 35 is short for me. 36. 36 is too short. It's too short. Maybe I'll make it 40. 40 inches. All right, so let's cut. So for the back part, we are cutting it on fold, and the front part, we are cutting two pieces together. We are cutting two different pieces for the front, and one back piece on fold. So let's first do the front part, the back part, and then see for the front part. So make sure before you cut the back part, you've already joined this, okay? You've already added this part. Don't cut without it. Because if you don't, then it will not come out as it is supposed to come out. Yeah. So let's pin and cut. Already I added sewing allowance, no need to add. Maybe if you need your your shirt dress to be more free, you can add some more sewing allowance, but I think for me this is enough. So I said I want my dress to be 40 inches, so I'm going to take 40 inches from here, and I'll make the front part 39 inches. So I'm going to take 40 inches. When you're measuring, make sure you add an extra 2 inches for the hemming allowance. So 40 will be enough. So this is the 40 I'm going to mark. I'm not adding hemming allowance, so I'll take 40 for 40. And here as well. Sorry for that. So we are going to cut. Sorry, I had to begin like this. Wait a minute. You know that I made a mistake. I was supposed to cut 41 to make 40 on all sides. 41. Okay, let's take it for that. It's okay. Pin very well. If you don't pin well, things might not turn out as good as they are supposed to. So you have to pin well. You have to add the sewing allowance here. Add a sewing allowance of 0.5 inches, probably, or 1 inch. But 0.5 is enough. Okay. So our back part is done. Let's do the front. So as I told you, for the front we are cutting 2 pieces. And I'll arrange it in this order. And here I need, let me turn this, it will be easier, I think. Someone is calling. Check. Okay, give me 1 minute and I can come back. Okay, sorry for that. So let's cut the front. All right. So we have to make this. The other one was 40. We have to make this 39 so that it can be equal. Okay. So let's take the measurement. This is the highest point. So we shall take from here to 39 inches. So 39 is here. I'm going to make a straight line. Okay. So let's cut. Let's cut. So we already added sewing allowance here. No need to add. I just added, but no need to add. If you added sewing allowance while doing the pattern drafting, no need to add more sewing allowance. Whatever you added is already enough. Make sure you pin very well, because if you don't, you see what is happening to me. If you don't pin so well, you'll get issues. So pin very well. And when you get here, add a sewing allowance of 0.5 inches to join your shoulder line. I always use my eyes to see it. Okay, so this is what we have for the front and for the back. So we are going to sew, and then after sewing, we see how we make our collar. So I'm going to first rule out 3 lines here, 1 inch for each line. Okay, since this is plastic, it's not so stable, I'll have to rule out the lines. This is plastic bag, so I'll have to mark where the lines have to pass. All right. So I'm going to get a ruler and rule out these lines. Remember, we left 3 inches here. So I'm going to mark those 3 inches. You just follow along because you might not see where the lines are passing. This is plastic bag and the color of the marker is almost the same color of the fabric. So okay. So let me try to check if I can get my tracing wheel. I trace out those lines so that I can easily see where they pass. Okay, so I'm going to use this. This is a tracing wheel to trace out this line. It will capture the lines on the front and on both sides. Oh, good. Okay. So you can see the lines are on both sides. Right? So we are going to join the front and the back. So this is the back. It's cut on fold. So I'm just going to open it up and open this up as well. So when you're joining, you see that this is low, is lower than this. So the front is shorter. Okay, so after sewing here, when you sew here, you have to pull this so that the armhole is connecting and you sew. You don't sew it like this. After sewing here like this, you have to make sure you align the armhole, so this will automatically go down. Okay, the same applies to this side. So let me sew the what should I do first? You can do this first. Let me do this first. I think it will be easier. So you're going to come and fold. This has no back and front side. This has no wrong and right side. So you have, it's okay. But if you're using fabric, you have to mark the wrong and right side. So you fold in as you're going to from the wrong side to the right side. So you're going to fold in this 1 inch. So this is 1 inch folded. Follow the lines we made. After, you fold in again. So if you note, we have 1 inch extra. Okay, here. This is the inch that is going to overlap on the other part. So I'm going to do the same for this side. Follow the lines we marked. Then after again, we are going to fold. All right, so this part is done. I'm just going to top stitch here like this. So when I stitch, it will capture also this side. Okay, so let me do just that, and then we shall continue. All right, so let's do the top stitching. Whichever side you start with, it's okay. So make sure you sew on the extreme end. Okay, one part is done, so let's do this as well. All right, so we are done with this part. The issue with plastic bag is wrinkling, so using plastic bag to practice, not that. Okay, so we are done with folding in, and make sure after folding in you have your waist divided by 4 plus 2 inches, because we have 1 inch on the side and 1 inch for this 1 inch that overlaps. So let's take our measurements and see. So my waist is 8.5 plus 1 inch, which comes to 9.5, plus 1 inch for sewing allowance on this side, which makes it 10.5. But I have extra. Remember, I added a sewing allowance. I did not calculate the sewing allowance, so it's okay. There is extra 0.25 inches. So now we are going to sew the shoulder line. I'm going to arrange the right sides facing each other, and sew the shoulder line. So arrange everything very well and always pin. So we are going to sew the shoulder line. Arrange everything well, pin, and then start sewing. Remember the sewing allowance you used. If you use the sewing allowance of 1 inch, sew it out. If you use 0.5, sew it out. So I used my eyes to measure mine. So I'm coming here as well and sewing. Right, so we are done with this step. Now I'm going to measure around my neck. So we are going to measure how much we have around our neck. So you're going to get your measuring tape and take your measurement. Take it slow as you rotate. So it's 18.75. 18.75. You can take your measurements more than once. Okay? You can take it 2 times just to be sure. So 18.75 divide by 2. 18.75 divide it by 2. It's 9.8. 9 point what? 9 point, oh my god, it's not 5, but it falls in between there. So, which is okay. So I have this piece of paper. I'm going to fold it. My measurement, the half measurement is 9 point something. So I'm going to use this paper to cut my collar. All right, so we said we have 9 point something, so I'm going to measure that 9 point something, so it's here. So I'm going to cut the collar and the collar stand. I'll mark a starting point. So for my collar stand, I want my collar stand to be 1 inch. But before that, I'm going to get the quarter measurement. Still, I'm going to get half of the 9 point. So half of the 9 point, that is almost 4.75. So I'm going to mark it 4.75. So this is the quarter of our collar. So I want my collar stand to be 1 inch. So I'll come and measure 1 inch. And also here, I'll measure 1 inch. But before I measure 1 inch, I'm going to come up here by 0.25. Then after coming up by 0.25, I'll measure 1 inch. So I'll blend this. You can come up by 0.5 or 0.25, whatever you have, and blend it back to this measurement here. Okay, so here you're going to come and measure 1 inch. So you will use this so now after that I'm going to make a line, another line, to make my collar. Okay, so for my collar, I want my collar to be, depending on how wide you want your collar to be. So I want my collar to be 2.5 inches. Okay, so my collar is 2.5 inches. So I'm going to mark 2.5 inches. So I'm going to come here and on this line, the down line, and come in by 1 inch. From the side, okay? Then bring back to here like this. So I'm going to come here on this line by 0.5 and curve in my collar like this. Okay, so this is my collar and this is my collar stand. This is my collar and this is my collar stand. Okay, so if you want, this is completely optional. If you want, you can come here on your collar and the center, and come down by 0.5 inches. I told you this is optional. It's not a must. That's according to what you want. It's your personal preference. You might come here and make your collar like this. This should be the lowest part of this curve. So this is not a must. I repeat, it's not a must. You can leave it as it is, straight as it is, or you can come down from the center by 0.5 inch and curve it back to so you can cut this collar together. If you want, you can cut the collar stand and the collar together. Let's assume it's here. You can cut it together, but you can cut it separate as well. All right, so this is now our collar stand. And this is our collar. And when you measure your collar stand, it has to be, we had what, 18 point what, 18 point something, 75. So you're going to come here. Okay, so it should be 18.75. Make sure you have 18.75. Make sure. Okay. The 18.75 should be on this down line, not up. Up it is shorter, but down it should be 18, because this is the side that sits on your shirt. Okay, so when cutting your collar stand, you have to put a 0.5 sewing allowance around your collar stand. That is for sewing. Okay, and another thing, you also have to put a sewing allowance of 0.5 for sewing on your collar. Another thing, you have to put interfacing on your collar, both sides. Okay, and when you're cutting interfacing, you must cut it. It must be the what of the pattern, exactly like the pattern. You don't put sewing allowance on the interfacing. I hope you get me. You don't put sewing allowance on the interfacing. I repeat. When you're cutting interfacing to the collar, don't add sewing allowance. I'm telling you because I'm not doing that for my collar. So I'm going to cut this out and see how we join it. So what should I use? I need something stiff. Okay, let me use this plastic. Let me use this plastic for the collar. All right, so I'll not bother myself. I'm going to cut this on fold. Please, if you cut this and it had this part, you see, I told you can cut it straight. Or you can cut with the curve. So if you put the curve, you are supposed to cut with the curve, and you are supposed to leave the 0.5 sewing allowance here on all around the collar. But I'm going to cut mine without. Okay, let me cut it with a curve. So to cut with a curve, I'm going to fold this, and remember this as well is on fold. So I'm going to you need 2 pieces. You need 2 pieces of this. Okay, so I will do this. This is unfold. Sorry, I have flu and cough. All right, so we are going to cut, leaving as 0.5 sewing allowance. Here it's unfold, we don't leave sewing allowance there. All right, so a 0.5 sewing allowance here as well. Whoosh. Okay, so we are done with cutting our collar. So we are going to cut the collar stand. We also need 2 pieces of the collar stand. So I'm going to fold again. Okay, also this is unfold. All right, so let's cut also with a sewing allowance of 0.5. Remember that. I just use my eyes to measure the 0.5. Curve this as it is supposed to be. If you don't know how to do it, you can measure to be precise. Okay. All right. So I told you this has to be 2 parts. So what you're going to do, you're going to sew around this like this. Whatever you have as excess is the sewing allowance. So I also want you to note one thing. I'm not going to do it, but it is supposed to be done. So you must put interfacing on the collar. On this part, you have to put interfacing. Okay? Like this exactly. The interfacing has to be the size of the pattern. This pattern is the size of the interfacing. And on this part as well, you're supposed to put another. So you cut 2 of these. 2. Okay, so you put on this and put on this after. Then you're going to do like this and do like this. With this already ironed on, you will sew around. So I'm just going to leave this on as a guidance of where I'm supposed to sew. So I'll just put it just to guide me where I'm supposed to sew, then I'll remove it later. So if you put your interfacing, well, you will see the part that remains is the part you're supposed to sew on. Okay? So arrange everything very well. Make sure you arrange everything so well. Okay. So I'm going to sew around this like this. Here I'll not sew here. I'll just sew around the upper part. So let's do just that. Ish. You people, I already messed up. How did I do this? I already messed up everything. Can you imagine? You see, I have an issue here. Let me just remove because it won't make sense. I have to open here and sew again. Okay, you have to use, we get something here, we use these tweezers. Okay, all right. So you have to iron this very well. Very well, very, very, very well. Okay, iron very well. So after ironing, you're going to get these, your pieces. Remember, we already put interfacing. You remember I said you have to put interfacing of the same side on both this one and this one as well. Okay, so assuming we already put the interfacing, now I'm going to join them on my collar. But before I do that, I'm going to fold to join them. Fold. After folding, I'm going to get the center. I'll mark the center on this side and on this side as well. I'll also do the same for this. I'll mark that. The scissor did not capture the inner part, so I'm going to mark again. Okay, so we have the center. This is our center, and this is our center on this part. So remember, this long part is the one that is supposed to be on your shirt. So when you're placing, you place this long side up of the collar. So you pin and you do the same for this side. This part, this one, is supposed to face up. So you're going to arrange everything here. like this, and then arrange everything very well. It is better you pin like this so that you don't remove the pins while sewing. Okay, you just sew with the pins in. All right. So this is our collar well pinned. So you're going to come from here and sew around like this. That's why I say leave the pins in, don't remove them until you sew all around. All right. So I'm done with this part. Check what you have here. Check, 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 check. It's even more than 18.75. It is more by 2.5 inches. It is supposed to be 18.75. So I did not calculate the sewing allowance. That's the issue. But if before sewing, you have to measure your sewing allowance and make sure at the end of the day you get the right measurement. So you can trim off some excess here. Yeah. You can decide to trim off some excess. So after you want to turn your collar like this, press it, press, emphasis on pressing, press it very well. Okay. And after pressing, you're going to get one side of the collar, the side that is going to be on, that is going to show inside, like here on the back. You're going to fold it in by 0.5 inches. Remember we said we leave 0.5 inches. So you're going to fold one side by 0.5 inches and press that 0.5 inches. So you fold 0.5 inches and press, and do what? And press. Okay, so this is what you're supposed to press. 0.5, press it so that it lays flat. After that, we're going to bring the fabric, get the center back. Arrange the shoulder line, this shoulder line to the shoulder line very well, and make sure you have the center back. So this center back you're going to notch on it. Okay, so after notching the center back, you're going to come here. We already indicated the center back, and you're going to come here and arrange that center back, right side, touching the right side. So you pin around. Make sure you pin everything very well. Yes. Okay. I have to leave this live. Someone is calling me, please. Sorry, I'll come back to finish.